Hi world, my name is Shelly. I am the owner and dyer of Kato Yarn Company Yarns. I am a small batch dyer located in Mankato, Minnesota, and I thought I would get out there today and tell you a little bit about my yarn and my knitting and the projects that I make. I've been a knitter for about 20 years. I taught myself how to knit, actually it was almost 30 years ago. I taught myself how to knit. Growing up with a grandma who crocheted all the time, and grandma always had this stash of knitting needles in her drawer, and I was like, Grandma, teach me how to knit. And grandma goes, I don't know how. And I'm like, why do you have knitting needles? I still don't know why she had knitting needles, but she didn't know how to knit. I held it against her a little bit because I really wanted to know. She did teach me how to crochet when I was very young. It's something I think I crocheted in Afghan in high school, but I never stuck with it. I've always sewed and done counted cross stitch and just about anything crafty, scrapbooking, photography. I love doing those kind of things, but I always wanted to know how to knit. And then when I found out my own kids were on the way, I decided to teach myself. So taught myself, and I haven't looked back. I'm a huge sock knitter. I've knit a lot of shawls in my life. This is the Joy Shawl. This is made out of one of the first colorways that I dyed. It's just like a bright pink and purple. I love the shawl. It's really soft. It's with the slub yarn. If you haven't knit with the slub yarn, it's really fun. It has a great nubby texture, and I know my daughters touched it, and one of my friends have felt the yarn, and they're like, "Ooh, I don't like that." But I don't know, it's really soft. I think if you haven't knit with the slub yarn, you should give it a try. But I'm gonna start and show you what's on my needles today. I'm just gonna kind of ramble through the list. I wrote a list today, guys. I have so many projects on the needle, it's ridiculous. I had to fess up to myself. What was it? Because I've got 8 projects on the needles, and I've got 5 that I want to cast on. I just want to cast everything on right now. I'm a huge sock knitter. I've always knit lots and lots of socks, and I've got about a dozen pair stashed in this is my front porch. It's a very small space, and it's my little craft room, but I have got a dozen pairs stashed up there where I'm not going to show you because it's a mess, that are just hibernating. I've got about 20 pairs in my drawer. Oh, they're great. I love having them for gifts. There are certain people in my life that are so knit worthy that I love to give them knit socks, and they love getting them. Every once in a while I'll throw some at a random person, and it's just fun to see their reaction and hear about how much they like the socks, and they're just cozy. So anyway, what's on my needles? The first thing I have on my needle is the Perfect Together socks. Color work is something that I haven't done a lot of. Teaching myself to knit, sorry, I got something in my eye. Teaching myself to knit, I don't knit traditionally. I'm more of a thrower, and I have a really hard time with color work because I'm holding the yarn in my left hand and I'm doing this little finger flick that I taught myself how to do. So color work has been a challenge, so I'm working on it. So the Perfect Together socks, I am knitting on my hand-dyed yarn, indigo. This is just a light blue color that I dyed up for something I was playing with. I didn't realize till I was knitting these socks that I was knitting them in my school colors. Our high school is no longer there, so Stored and Jeffers Chiefs, I'm thinking of you. As I knit penguins on the socks. Maybe I should think about what my motif is. But yeah, those are kind of my car knitting right now. Super mindless vanilla sock knitting until I get to the color work. Oh, let's see. I've also got another pair of socks on my needles. This is a test knit for Emma from Potter and Bloom. And this is on a Knit Picks yarn. I'm really liking how these knit up. Variegated yarns are so much fun to see how they knit, and the stripes go wonky halfway through. It's always fun to see how it pulls back together. And if it doesn't, because I've knit some variegated yarn socks that are really cool all the way down, and then the next pair of socks, depending where you started, it just pools. So I just love the variations of self-striping yarn and variegated yarn, and to see what it turns out to be. Also on my needles are the Coffee Talk socks by Tracy Miller of the Grocery Girls. This is a Grocery Girls colorway that they had out a few years, it was a year or so ago. I'm just kind of doing some funky striping. I love striping with helical knitting. I don't know if you guys have tried the helical knitting technique. I love it. I got some fading going on the toes. This was I don't know if I got the band. I don't have the band. All of my projects are on Ravelry. I've got everything linked there. I'll link it below if I figure out how to do that. This podcast thing is going to be a learning experience for me. So yeah, those are my socks I have on the needles. I am currently also knitting the Pink Fizz sweater by Andrea Mowry. This one I'm not really in a hurry to finish up because I'm knitting it out of this. I'm decided I wanted to see how the slub yarn worked up in a sweater. So this is a slub and mohair blend, and I think it's gonna be a really warm sweater, so I'm not really in a big hurry to work on it because it'll be more for winter. But it's so soft. It's so soft. Again, it's a texture thing. My daughter touched it. She did not like it. She's like, Mom, this is gross. I'm like, but I love it, so I'm not gonna give it to you. For those of you who have seen me out and about in the world, I tend to do a lot of craft and vendor shows in the Mankato area. I'm not really traveling too far. In addition to my hand-dyed yarn, I do sew some project bags that I can show with you. A lot of my project bags are the drawstring type. This is one of them that I made last October, and it's got the breast cancer ribbons on it. These I currently have on sale for $15 in my shop and in person. I love them. They're just great. Cinch them up, toss them in a corner, safe from kids and pets. But yeah, this summer though, I brought in the fair trade African baskets into my shop, and I will be selling them at some of the local vendor events. And I'm not going to be listing them on Etsy or anything like that because I never know. Every basket is different, and I just don't want to pay to deal with shipping them. But if you're out and about and you're looking for some fun baskets, I'll have them, especially if I'm at the River Valley Makers events. I'll have them for sure there. And I'm going to be at the River Hills Mall April 17th and 18th for the women's show. And I'll have a good selection of different sizes of baskets there. So make sure if you're interested, come check them out. The next thing I have on my needles is the Powder and Dust Shawl by Vera Valimaki. I had dyed up a really fun fade, and I didn't pull it out. Hope I didn't pull it out. Sorry guys, it's not pulled out. You'll have to see it on my needles. I dyed up this fade and I just love it. I found this yarn I dyed up. It was just a matter. I was just throwing colors in the pan, and I just love it. I've named it Athena. I've got it on fingering and DK weight right now. And to go along with it, I dyed up Minerva. I think this one is called Hera. I'm doing a fade with these three, and I just started adding the middle color, the Minerva, to the shawl, and I'm just loving it. This shawl is really fun to knit. I haven't knit a nice... Most of the fade shawls I've knit in the past have always been like scrappy fades because I knit so many socks that I've got all this fingering weight yarn, and I've just kind of tried to use up yarn and thought, oh, I'm just going to make this really ugly shawl, and they all turn out cool. I don't care what colors I've mixed together. They just always look so fun together. So anytime I've knitted like the Find Your Fade or Free Your Fade shawls by Andrea Mowry, they've always been scrappy. So I'm really excited to be knitting one with 3 colors that I plan to go together. And this is the start of it. And this, I really like this pattern because it's got some flowers in it. And I decided to put little beads in the middle of them. I'm really liking how the beads are like, and the beads aren't the same color either. So it's been fun to put those in. I've knit shawls with beads before. And when I did that, it was where you put all your beads on your yarn, and then you're moving your beads down your yarn as you're knitting. And I liked the effect of the beads in the shawl, but I didn't like dealing with that. And I was watching Kristen of Bull and Vine Yarns, and she is talking about how she knitted with beads, and she had posted a tutorial about how she puts her beads on with a crochet needle, and that's the method I'm using. I just I really like it. It's a little putsy, but if you're just doing a few beads here and there, I think it's okay. If I was doing beads continuously, then I'd probably want to string them on, but it's a learning curve, just trying something new. Also on my needles is, if you haven't seen the Knit Happy book with self-striping yarn, this book is great. There's so many cute patterns in there. Of course, I am knitting the Bright Axis Tee, which I haven't really ever finished a sweater in fingering weight yarn, so I'm anxious to get this one done and see how it wears and see how I like it. Right now I love the drape of this. I'm knitting this on my Oh Gumballs colorway, which is just, purple is my favorite color, and you can probably tell by looking at the yarns in my shop that I do have a lot of purples and pinks, but I just love working with these colors. So I've got that. Right now I have this color on fingering and chunky weight yarns, which I'm going to show you a really cool hat I made with in a minute. And for the self-striping yarn portion of the sweater, I'm going to be using this fun yarn from Desert Vista Dye Works. It's the colorway Barrio de Carmen. I don't know if you can read that. I probably am pronouncing it wrong because that's just the way I am. Yeah. And then the other thing that I currently have on my needles, I'm not a big toy knitter, but honestly, we recently lost my husband's mother, and she's a very Christian woman, and she loves dolls. And I knew she was in the nursing home for a few months for recovery after surgery, and I saw this pattern. I'm like, you know what? She would love this pattern. She would love these dolls. And I wanted to try to make them. So what I did is I went ahead and knit up these dolls, and then I'd send her a couple every week. And the first week I sent her, this is from the Knitted Nativity by Esther Braithwaite. She makes these really great dolls. The first week I sent her these. Aren't they cute? This is supposed to be a camel, you guys. I think he's a horse or some kind of morphed animal. I don't know. It's probably me, but I just love how these little dolls knit up, and she just loved getting them in the mail. I sent her a couple at a time. Like every week I made sure that like on Monday I'd send a package to her. And I've got Wise Men, and got Mary. I don't know. I made her a set of the full Nativity, and I'm working on a set for me to have at home. Let's see. The sheep, you guys, are hilarious. The one I made her, I did she's got the face details. I have the hardest time with this kind of stuff. It looked like a morphed monkey. It was hilarious, but she knew it was a sheep. So I was really glad I was able to share those with her before she passed. I did ask my niece, who is our goddaughter, I said, can you just take these and keep these? Because she had little children too, and she knew they meant a lot to her grandmother to get them, and they made her smile. So I was happy to share those with her. So yeah, that is everything on my needles. Oh, I do have a crochet project. Even though I'm not a huge crocheter, I'm loving crocheting with fingering weight yarn. And maybe that's why I didn't like crochet growing up. I think it's because Grandma was always crocheting with, the worsted weight Red Heart yarn, and she never veered from that. The woman had a closet full of every color you can imagine, and some colors you probably didn't want to imagine because it was the 70s. But yeah, I'm working on this crocheted granny strip blanket. No rhyme or reason, just whatever color I feel like. And I love having these kind of blankets. I did the mitered square blanket. I knit that one on size 2 needles with scrap yarn. It took me 9 years to make that, but I love that blanket. I use it every single day, so I'm anxious to have another lightweight blanket to have around the house, but that's not going to get done anytime soon. So you probably won't see that again. Let's see. This is a hat that I just recently finished. honestly, I don't know what it's called. Hang on, I don't know if I have it here. It's a Winterfell Beanie. That's what it is. I'll post information about it below or link it to my Ravelry page. I made this out of chunky yarn. This is the first time that I have dyed chunky yarn, and I love it. And it's really fun. This is a super warm hat. I was at a craft show yesterday with our yarn, and my daughter was wearing it all day, part of the day. She got too hot. And this is knit out of my Kato Yarn Company yarn, Gumballs and Fruity. And I also have this yarn on Hubba Bubba. I decided to go with a gumball theme for these colors. I think they're so much fun. Yeah. And then I also was going to show you, I recently added to the shop some marled yarn. And I just went with semi-solid colorways on this. This is a 40% superwash merino, 40% Peruvian Highland wool, and 20% nylon. And these are some fun Mardi Gras colors. Coming soon to a craft show near you or the Etsy shop as soon as I get pictures. Yeah, I'm anxious to dye up. I think they'll make some really fun socks. Especially this. This is kind of our kids' school colors. Yeah. And I also just wanted to share with you a few other colors that I have in my shop. On DK weight right now, I had originally, the Grocery Girls and Labiana May and Andrea Mowry are currently doing the Comfort Fade Cardi knit along, which I can't wait to get to cast on a Comfort Fade Cardi because, you know, why not have some more projects in the works. I originally dyed up these yarns to be my cardigan. You guys, it's an Easter egg. I can't wear an Easter egg cardigan. I wanted it to be more neon, and it really turned out to be Easter egg colors. So I made the swatch. I know what needles I need to use for the cardigan, but I did just end up adding these yarns to the shop. This is on DK weight. This is Frozen and Strawberry Milkshake. Sunshine. Who doesn't need a sunny yellow? I just love this color. And Sunday Fun Day. And I think I named it Sunday Fun Day because it was a Sunday. Those are fun. And just some of my newer yarns that I've added to the shop. This is Desert Sunset on fingering. I never knew I would like orange, but I really like this color. I want to dye this up and make something with it. I just have to decide what I want to make it with. This is Minerva. This is the yarn that I was making my shawl out of. This was the middle color in my fade. And this is Sika, which I am not, I like bright colors, blacks and bright colors. And I'm not a natural color person, but I love dyeing with them. I love this brown color. So yeah, these are currently listed in my Etsy shop. And that's pretty much all I have to share with you today. Thank you for bearing with me for my first podcast. I hope to come back and share with you more about what I'm knitting and what's in the hopper and what's in my shop. Thanks for your time today, and hope to see you again. Bye.